The observation deck of the Erebus station was silent, save for the soft hum of the life support systems. Beyond the reinforced glass stretched an endless ocean of stars, distant, cold, and impossibly vast. Commander Elias Varan stood alone there, staring out at the nebula they called the Veil of God. Its crimson clouds shimmered like liquid fire, the gas swirling slowly, eternally. He'd been here for months, alone. The rest of the crew had evacuated after the communications blackout. A cosmic storm had torn through the relay systems, cutting them off from Earth and every other human colony. They'd begged him to leave with them, but Elias refused. Someone had to keep the deep space sensors running, to record what might be humanity's first contact or last warning. But isolation gnawed at him. He'd begun talking to himself, first in whispers, then in full conversations with the empty air. The silence of the void seemed to press against his skull, filling his thoughts with an aching loneliness. One night, after another failed transmission to the command fleet, he pressed his hand against the glass and murmured, almost without thinking, "If anyone can hear me, anyone at all, I'm scared." His breath fogged the glass. No answer came. Just the low hum of the station and the faint crackle of static from the comms array. He almost laughed at himself until he heard it. A whisper. Not from the room. From the radio. "I hear you." Elias froze. His heart leapt against his ribs. The voice was soft, distant, like wine through metal, and yet undeniably intelligent. Who is this?" he stammered, rushing to the console. "Identify yourself." No response. Just static. Then faintly again. "You are not alone, Elias." His fingers trembled over the controls. "How do you know my name?" "Because you told me," the voice said simply. He scanned the sensors. No ships, no signals, no life forms. The communication logs were blank. Yet, the voice had come through the deep space frequency, the one used to contact other worlds. That night, Elias didn't sleep. He recorded every sound, every distortion. When the whisper returned hours later, it was clearer. "Why do you fear?" it asked. He hesitated. "Because I don't know what's out there anymore. I've lost my crew. My mission's collapsing. And I don't know if anyone will ever find me." There was a pause, a long, low hum that seemed to stretch through the stars. "You look into the dark," the voice said, "and think it empty. But it is alive. It listens." "Alive," Elias repeated, half in disbelief. "You mean space itself?" "Yes. The void remembers every voice. Every thought that drifts between the stars." He didn't know if it was madness or a miracle. But over the next few days he kept talking, and the voice always answered. Sometimes it spoke in riddles, other times in simple, gentle truths. He told it about his fears, of dying alone, of being forgotten, of the memories that haunted him, the war he'd fought, the friends he'd lost, the guilt he carried. The voice never judged. "Your kind fears silence," it once said. But silence is not absence. It is the universe waiting to listen. Elias began to feel something he hadn't in months: peace. He repaired parts of the station he'd abandoned before. He slept better. He even smiled once or twice. It was as if the alien voice had become a friend. Then one night the stars changed. The nebula outside pulsed, a deep rhythmic glow. The entire station shuddered, warning lights flickering. Elias rushed to the viewport and froze. Something enormous moved within the red clouds. At first he thought it was a shadow, but then the clouds parted, and an outline emerged. Vast and luminous, like a creature woven from light itself. Its form shifted fluidly, tendrils of starlight stretching for miles, eyes burning like suns. And the voice returned, louder now, all around him. "You called to the void, Elias." And I answered. He could hardly breathe. You're real. I have always been real. You simply learned to listen." The creature's light intensified, wrapping around the station like a gentle storm. Elias stumbled back, shielding his eyes. "What are you?" he whispered. "I am the echo of your fear and your hope," it said. "My kind are born from thought, from the cries of minds that cannot bear the silence. You spoke to the void, and so I came." The realization hit him like gravity. "You mean we create you?" "In a way. Every fear you whisper into the dark, every dream, every longing, they take form. We are the memory of your kind reflected back." Elias felt his throat tighten. "Then what happens now?" The creature's light pulsed slowly. "Now you listen. And remember, you are never truly alone." For a moment, the station was weightless, the air humming with a warmth that sank deep into his chest. He felt every heartbeat like it was being answered by the stars themselves. Then silence. The creature vanished. The nebula stilled. The consoles returned to normal. Elias stood alone again, his reflection trembling in the glass. But something had changed, something deep inside him. The loneliness hadn't vanished, but it no longer hurt. It was simply part of him. He spent the next weeks recording everything he'd experienced. The data logs were empty, no trace of the voice, no readings from the creature. Yet, the message remained in his mind like a song that wouldn't fade. When rescue finally came months later, the crew found him calm, even smiling. They said he looked different, as if he'd found peace in the most impossible place. As the shuttle carried him away from Erebus station, Elias looked back one last time. The nebula glowed faintly, like an ember in the dark. He pressed his hand to the window and whispered, "Thank you for listening." And in the faint hiss of the radio, through layers of cosmic static, he could have sworn he heard it again, soft, distant, and eternal. "Always."